Hello and welcome to Braintree High School here on the side turf as we get ready for some live field hockey action. Braintree and Walpole getting set to take the field. Mike Wassel and Justin Turpin here for BCAM TV as we'll have a good matchup on our hand. Braintree with a 1-2 record heading into today's action. Walpole a perfect 2-0, Justin, and this should be a good one between two teams that know each other pretty well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day for it, Mike.
Looking forward to what should be a tight game between two teams, again, that have pretty much played really tight games over the last 5 years after Walpole, who had been pretty much one of the most dominant programs in Massachusetts. Braintree now starting to kind of even the playing field, and this will be an interesting game to see kind of now the rule change with two halves, or making it into quarters instead of halves. So you wonder, Justin, if any of the momentum will be killed at the end of a quarter instead of you have to wait until the end of the half.
Right, and even with things like clock management and substitutions and stuff going forward with that, you have to completely change how you manage the game, and that's another thing to watch here.
I think Braintree's going to get ready for the opening face-off here. And head coach Scully now into another year here for the field hockey program. She's really done a nice job with this Braintree program and has started to put them into a year-in, year-out postseason type of team after Braintree really did not have that type of success for a long time. But now they're starting to win. They're starting to get in a rhythm, and it's really starting at the feeder program. You got to start, the kids young. You got to start them playing in middle school, maybe even before that with club teams. And it's hard because a lot of the good towns, they're always starting from, the bottom up. They're working their way up as 10-year-old kids playing field hockey at that age, and then you played 6 or 7 years, and now you're, way ahead of the other team. So I think that's something to look forward to. I know, Justin, you haven't had a time to really watch much field hockey, so.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and you just mentioned the youthanism and building up from the ground. Just 7 seniors for the Womps, so obviously a younger team. I see a lot of sophomores on the roster, which always a good thing talking high school sports when you got sophomores and freshmen on varsity. You build off them. You got them for 3 more, even 4 more years if they're freshmen.
Yeah, it's nice to see them grow as players, obviously as students as well, but it's just to see the development from, say, like you said, a freshman to now a senior at any point. I mean, you can just see the level of play, the intensity, just the knowledge of the game. It's just so much stronger, and you just hope that you stay with the program. I mean, even through tough seasons, you're not always going to have a winning team. You're not always going to have a top talent team, but yeah, you gotta work hard in practice, and it translates over.
And also, when you have all those young players, it brings the team together. It's when you play 3-4 years together. In your senior year, you guys are a tight-knit group. You guys have been playing all these seasons together, and the season doesn't stop right as soon as their last game. They go into workouts. They still communicate. They still are focused on the next season, so it definitely helps with the chemistry.
Chemistry in this sport is so similar to hockey that a lot of these players actually play hockey. A lot of them actually play field hockey and lacrosse, and it's just like you get that chemistry. So a lot of these players are playing together in multiple sports, and you just really, you know where each other's going to be on the field. You know how to communicate with each other. It just makes a big difference.
And that's the biggest thing in sports is always communication. You can't really have a good team if you can't communicate. So.
Well, we had plenty of time for a nice little preview heading into this game. It looks like we're ready for some live action now. I know you've been probably anxiously awaiting here on this broadcast as we live stream this on BCAM.
The officials in the green. This is new to me. Again, this is my first field hockey game. Officials in green. I haven't seen that.
Yep, there'll be a handful of changes. I'll try and keep you in the loop, Justin, with a couple of the rule changes, but it's definitely a very quick sport, and there's a lot of stoppages, so be prepared.
Much like hockey, that's why they call it field hockey.
Ready for the opening hit here is Braintree with it in their home white uniforms with the blue trim. Walpole on the road here. Again, they are 2-0 heading into today's action. Braintree a 1-2 record. Their last defeat coming at the hands of Marshfield in a tight game. Braintree's only win coming against Weymouth as the Womps move the ball up the field. And now sent to the middle of the field is Braintree looking to attack the middle as it's worked to the far side off of the stick of Tenney. And now back around midfield where Braintree battles for it.
A good defensive play there.
Taken away off of Braintree's stick by Whalen. And now back up the field comes Walpole.
Another good defensive play by Braintree. I believe that was number 18, Margot Tenney.
so important just to try and get your stick on anything you
Right.
can. And one big thing is anytime the ball comes off the ground and hits your foot, it's an immediate stoppage. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on as well. So this will be an opportunity here for Jacobs to hit, the junior.
Here's Braintree is in a little more of a man coverage here.
Sent up by Braintree looking towards the midfield mark, and that pass was out of the reach of Bridget Lee, the junior. Down on the far side, it is Walpole looking to attack. Again, the change from a season ago, they generally play 2 30-minute halves. They're broken up into quarters now, so we're in 15-minute quarters. And they will not stop the clock unless there's an injury or a goal, or a timeout, of course. And the air horn is the best friend of the officials in this sport because the clock is so small across.
Another thing I noticed with the officials is they have like a little earpiece in their ear. I don't know if they're communicating with each other. Or...
I would imagine so. Probably so tough because look how far apart they are on
Right,
the field.
just two of them on this big field. Here's one has each side.
Right out in front now is Walpole looking for the game's first shot. As Braintree with strong defense again.
Walpole spending a lot of time in the Braintree zone.
And we'll see a corner here. Actually going to bring it up top. Just outside the semicircle. As Walpole will now try to work it in. Braintree with a strong break up there. As that was knocked away. And that was Braintree's number 7, Tessa Marston, the junior. Take a little while to get used to some of the names. It's the first time I've done field hockey this year. But Braintree with plenty of home games this season. And actually, I think it's 1.6 games in a row here at home, and had a chance to talk with head coach Scully before. And I guess that was due in large part to the fact that Braintree had to schedule some non-conference games, and that kind of got broken into, can you come here to Braintree? You know, we have some scheduling conflicts. So it worked out in Braintree's favor. They got a lot of home games. So
Something I bet they're not complaining about.
No. I'm sure the kids aren't either, because sometimes you get a 30 to an hour ride each way. Nice pass as this one up the field, but unfortunate, just out of bounds. So there's multiple lines here on the field here. One of them obviously for soccer. The far one is for soccer. The closest one is the field hockey boundary.
And it is a big field.
They do play soccer on here, believe it or not. I've done a couple games, but generally they play on the football field. So does the field hockey team, though, at times. They'll play out there. And
Now
really
that must get confusing for you.
Yeah.
Doing play-by-play when you got the football lines,
yeah,
the soccer
Soccer
lines, and the field hockey line, and lacrosse.
and every sport has different lines that you have to actually keep in mind.
Color-coded.
After a while, you just get used to it, but definitely makes it tough for the opponents. You know, coming into a field, you're like, where's the boundary? Where is it? That's probably what they talked about before the game, the officials talking with the teams. Down the field now, here goes Wong.
Another
As
great
she looks
defensive
to
effort there by the Womps.
Work it in front as Braintree trying to get on the backhand there to get the stick down and block the shot. As the shot goes wide, and Braintree will now take it over. So we really haven't had to call either goalie's name to this point, but it'll be Madison Clark in goal for Walpole, and Braintree with their senior, Angelina Barrett.
Yeah, nothing's really came close to Clark so far today. I mean, granted, still early, just 5 minutes into this one, but nothing really into the Walpole zone.
Walpole, always a very good field hockey program, and they call themselves the Porkers. That's the nickname that Walpole has for their team.
Is that just field hockey? Because
Yes.
they did change their
They did
actual
change the mascot, yes.
last year.
I don't know if they came up with an official name. I've still been calling it the same as the Rebels. That was the original.
I think somebody was calling them the Warriors.
That might be it. I think you actually might be right with that one. I think it was another W. I think that was the...
Trying to stick with the theme.
Yeah.
So you don't have to take the W off the helmets.
Right.
Or the jerseys.
Although I guess it could just stand for just the town itself.
Yes, yeah.
Just like the Braintree Bee. So this is a sport where the officials have to be just as communicated with the players.
Now it is interesting to note just 2 officials on this big field, like you mentioned earlier. And now, I don't know if you could see the earpiece in the official's ear, but definitely communicating with each other. I mean, where else would they be communicating? But
I haven't done many playoff games, but I assume that they still have 2 officials. You would wonder if they would at some point bring a third in, just in that case, just like baseball, where they add an additional umpire in bigger games.
Great defensive stop there.
Braintree able to break that one up with the strong play on the back line there by Braintree's number 3, Nora McLaughlin. And that one goes wide. So Braintree again with some good defensive play. You talked about Walpole really bringing the pressure, but it hasn't amounted to a goal yet.
Yeah, can't ask for much more. If you're Coach Scully, playing good defense, just going to push it into the Walpole zone.
Yeah, just as Braintree, you're just going to assume that when you get your opportunities, you got to take advantage. You might not get a ton of them. Maybe you get 4 or 5 really good looks. You got to cash in on those chances.
Could have a chance here, starting at midfield.
It'll be Burchill, who's one of the top Braintree offensive weapons, working it down the field. Multi-sport athlete. As this one's dumped in towards the far corner. Long run into the corner where Lee will send it back towards the middle of the field, but it caroms out of bounds.
And like you said, you got to cash in on those opportunities, and this could be one of them.
I'm sure most games Walpole doesn't face a ton of shots either. They clearly are a team that's defensive-minded, and they usually bring most of the pressure. So see if Braintree can turn the script a little bit. We'll keep an eye on that clock again. It was a 15-minute quarter. No score yet.
7:15 to go here in the first.
So we're at the halfway point now. Neither side with a goal yet. The opening quarter. If you are watching at home, this is again a live stream. We're broadcasting on YouTube as well as the BCAM TV station. Comcast Channel 9, Verizon number 28. These live streams are really come a long way, Justin, during
Absolutely.
COVID. I mean, every school was doing it to try and give their town, a chance for their parents to watch the games, and now everybody's obviously back out watching. So,
and I was talking about it the other day during our volleyball broadcast. It was just having the energy back, having people back watching. No really limitations to how many people can go. You had to choose between parents, which is probably tough for kids. Got to choose, and mom and dad got to switch off, and
I guess you got to decide which sport, as a parent, which sport you're more passionate about.
If you're a
which one you want to
athlete,
give up. Yeah. But you don't have to worry about that now. So, yeah, they had designated parents just to go to the games, and they had a checklist, and they were, at the games, they were saying, okay, what's your name, and then they'd say, who's your parent here,
and even some schools didn't even allow visitors.
Yep. One out of bounds where Braintree will take over. That'll be past the stick of Colleran as Braintree will have it just around midfield. Pretty quick moving first quarter.
A lot of good defense so far. Still scoreless.
This will be a hit chance here for Joyce for Braintree on that hit from the boundary as it's chipped over the defense by Burchill and now picked up off the attack by Carolyn Burchill. So Maggie and Carolyn, both sisters and playing together here.
It's a good play there by Margot Tenney, number 18, to tip that ball away.
Seen a lot of the same faces involved in a lot of the plays here, Justin. That's pretty common in most sports. I mean, you generally get a gist of who's going to be touching the ball the most in any game.
It seems like, much like lacrosse, you have certain attackers that you really want to get the ball.
Yep. Anytime you get the ball to certain players, they can just make things happen that a lot of the other players, not that they can't, but they're just a little bit more talented. So this will be work past the Braintree defense momentarily off the stick of Tassoni, one of their captains.
If I'm not mistaken, just one shot on goal for Walpole.
Yep. Braintree does not have a registered shot yet, but they're starting to get into the rhythm here. I think Braintree's really settled in here in this first quarter. After a little slow start, I think Walpole definitely dominated the first couple minutes, but Braintree's definitely had more possession recently. So Burchill will send it back, but it's stopped nicely by the Walpole midfield off the stick of Frucci.
Getting late in the first quarter here, just 3.5 to go.
Quick pass as they work it into the Braintree end. Nice backhanded move.
Another good defensive play there by Braintree. Number 6, Claire Joyce.
It's all about, like you said, just marking up each player one-on-one and trying to avoid giving the numbers advantage in front of the goal, as Joyce will try and work it up the field, and now Lee will work it up even further.
See if she can win this foot race here. Gonna be close.
Good hustle. And the call's going to go in Braintree's favor, so this is going to be probably their best opportunity, Justin.
I mean, a good time for it late in the first quarter here, trying to tack on a point before we end the first.
Be a good time for Braintree, if they could, to try and take the lead heading into the second quarter. Burchill with a low shot and another quick whistle. I don't think they had given up the proper spacing, but nonetheless, it'll be a Braintree turnover there.
Like you said earlier, the official's very communicative.
And it's got to, the ball's got to be put in the exact spot. It's not like soccer where you can kind of just roll it anywhere and just kick it. This is a sport where it's very precise. There's certain lines that you have to hit it from.
Like golf, play it where it lands.
Right. Down the far side is Walpole looking to get one here late.
Under 2 to go here.
That one is out of bounds. Well, Braintree will have it just shy of midfield. Now carried over midfield. This is a sport where stick handling is so important, just like you see in hockey, but even more in this sport just because the ball is so hard to maneuver.
And with the stick being so much smaller,
Right.
I mean, look at the end of the stick. I mean, really not nearly as big as hockey.
There's no curve on it either.
Right. It curves up.
Right. Certainly don't want to get hit by
No,
one of
absolutely
one of the
not.
balls, just like you don't want to get hit by a puck in hockey, but you wear a lot more padding in that sport. The only player with padding is the goalie.
The rest of them, is it what,
just shin guards.
Shin guards,
just
and
shin
they got a little
guards
face
and
guard
the goggles,
too.
yeah.
And the goggles, and the
Yeah.
mouth guard, of course.
Yeah.
Must take a quick shot right off the leg.
Right.
That'll leave a mark.
Oh yeah, that's going to leave a good-sized bruise.
Under a minute here.
Braintree hoping not to give one up late as they play defensively here in their own end. And now look like they're going to work it to the sideline. Very similar to what you do in soccer. Late in a half, you just kind of work it to the corner flag,
Right.
try and drain the clock.
We haven't seen a lot of substitutions, so guarantee these players on the field right here, pretty tired. You said earlier with a nice breeze, but still a little hot if you're running around, especially on the turf.
You just saw that. I don't know if you caught that one, Justin. That hit a Braintree foot, so that's the reason for the stoppage. And now it'll be a Walpole opportunity here very late.
This is a great opportunity. Clock with under 20 seconds here.
They're going to have to hurry here if they want to get a chance. All the Braintree defenders coming from the net.
The goaltender's got some reinforcements.
Here is
He
the
had the
shot.
air horn, but
As the chance is stopped, still loose, and no goal.
No good.
No goal.
talk about a break for the Womps there.
I think what happened there is even though the quarter came to an end because there was a penalty situation, they get to keep the play until Braintree is able to gain possession, which happened for a moment, but they still have a chance here to end the quarter with a goal.
Some more reinforcements in there for Braintree.
So it's an untimed play, I guess, if you want to call it that. As the chance in front, still loose, and it goes wide, and that'll be the end of the first quarter. So Braintree dodging a couple late bullets there, and Walpole, who carried the play for the most part, not able to get one in that first quarter, as we have a scoreless first quarter between Braintree and Walpole. Mike Wassel and Justin Turpin here live, and well, that was certainly a good first quarter for both sides, I guess. If you think about it, Walpole definitely had the better opportunities. Braintree did get the ball down on the other side of the field, but they didn't take advantage of their limited chances.
And if you like defense, this is the game for you. I mean, both teams doing a great job defensively. I mean, only a couple of chances for both teams. Well, even Walpole spending a lot of time in the Braintree zone. Braintree defense done a great job keeping away from that goal.
So that'll be the end of the first quarter. We'll take a quick break in between, and we'll bring you back the next 15 minutes in a scoreless game here on BCAM TV.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us. All of us. You're going to need our technical skills, our math, our engineering skills. You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills. You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Welcome back here to Braintree High School as we get ready for quarter number 2. Mike Wassel and Justin Turpin on hand here live for BCAM TV again on the YouTube channel under BCAM TV, as well as on Verizon and Comcast, Channel 9 and Channel 28 if you live in Braintree. So Braintree will start the ball here in the second quarter. A couple of late opportunities for Walpole. They didn't cash in on Justin at the end of the first quarter. We'll see what the second quarter has in store.
We're off to a quick start here. Right in front of us. Good view for us.
Very low to the ground. That's the only difference between doing games at the football stadium. You get to kind of have a little bit more of an elevated view,
Exactly.
which makes it a little easier to follow.
Just like at the gymnasium.
Yep. Much tougher to announce a volleyball game if you're sitting courtside.
Oh, I don't think I could do it courtside. I like being the eye in the sky. That's why it's a little different. That's why I said better view for us when they're right in front of us. But
Certainly much easier to see what's going on when you're a little closer, but in most sports, you generally, the further away, you can kind of have a different vantage point than you normally would get, as Braintree will work it up the
could be
field.
an opportunity here.
As they continue to pass it up to themselves. This is Bridget Lee again, who's had a couple of good touches early, trying to give Braintree their first real shot, and that was a dangerous hit.
We'll put it
Braintree will turn it
exactly
over.
where the hit occurred, the dangerous hit, the foul.
It's going to be a Braintree ball. I believe Walpole tried to start too early before the official gave them the right of way. And just
Gave
like
it right
in
back.
any sport, you get a false start. That's kind of the same idea in this situation.
A lot of different rules in this game here.
Oh, yeah. Kind of looked up some as I did my first few games, and that just kind of comes with the more games that you do. You pick up on a lot of the things, talk with the officials, talk with the coaches. You learn a few things here and there, and obviously with COVID, I mean, there was other restrictions that were put in play, which made it even more difficult. So,
And one of those restrictions was obviously the mask, and
yep.
I'm sure, you know, now that they have the mask free, running on the field makes it a lot different.
Oh yeah, and I mean today's not that warm, but you know, you can imagine a 90
On the
degree
warm
day,
days, yeah, not fun.
Especially the players that, I mean, think about basketball, and they were wearing
In the gym.
masks indoors. Yeah,
It's tough. It was a tough adjustment for everybody. And
I haven't played a sport with a mask on, so I really can't speak on it, but I can imagine it being very difficult. As this one centered out in front and just wide on the Braintree opportunity. As that was Lee who got a stick on it.
walked up the stairs with the mask on. If it's any similar, then a good opportunity for Braintree early here. Already a little over 2.5 minutes passed.
Braintree's best opportunity comes right there. I don't know if you can consider that a shot on goal because it never actually made contact with the goalie, although it just went wide. As Burchill now looking to control it. Nice stick handling. Unfortunate that it was knocked away. Here comes Walpole back up the field.
They got the numbers advantage here.
As Whalen moves it up the field. Braintree trying to slow down this rush.
Another good one. Good stick handling.
Cut back move, the pass, the shot, and a nice kick save, the rebound, and they send it home on the far post. For the game's first goal, it looked like that was Scales who put it home, the senior, giving Walpole the game's first goal. So Braintree got the initial stop. That was a great save on the far post by Barrett, but could not clear the rebound away. And Walpole strikes first here.
Walpole had a 3-on-3 there, and they took advantage of the great stick handling by the player that was bringing, I didn't get the number, the player that was running up the ball. Great stick handling, finds the open pass, and they put it home.
That was Whalen on the assist. That'll be number 17 on the assist. On the goal, it was Scales, number 4, so.
And when we're seeing the defense we're seeing today, it's definitely big to get an early lead.
Certainly fortunate to capitalize there after the initial stave. A lot of the times you get a big stop like that and your team is able to clear it out defensively, but unfortunate for Braintree. You talked about that numbers situation. It was a 3-on-3, so Braintree didn't have an extra body in there to clear it away.
And deep in the Walpole zone again here. Clear it
Cleared
out.
up the sideline as Braintree looking to respond here.
Good play defensively there by number 13. That's Carolyn Burchill.
I think one of the biggest advantages, though, to changing into quarters is that you give the coaches get a big advantage. There's a big boost to kind of see what the other team does in 15 minutes and say, okay, let's change up our strategy a little bit. Whereas if you only play in a half, you can't do that until the half's over unless you take a timeout. So, you know, there's advantages and disadvantages to each of those rule changes.
Right, and again, with the clock management as well, you don't have to take as many timeouts because you can just go over it at the end of the quarter.
A lot of the times it's best to let your team play it out too. A lot of the times you'll let them work through adversity. That makes the team better. Sometimes you're on your heels, you give up a goal or two, you try and battle back, but sometimes taking a timeout, it kind of, loses that momentum. You're trying to gain confidence for the kids. Sometimes it takes that away.
Especially in such a fast-paced sport. And it's still early in the season. You want to put them in those pressure situations.
Just the second field hockey home game. Braintree with the loss to Marshfield in their opener here at home, as there is a stop made in goal by Barrett, and still loose. Both sides digging away at it. As Joyce will backhand it out.
And the defense in there helping out the goaltender there.
So it'll be another penalty corner. As you see, this will be number 11, Jacobs, who will take it. All the Braintree defenders inside the goal, and they'll move once the ball is hit.
Walp's done a great job killing those penalties. There's another one.
Right in front of the goal, it's squirting wide. That was close again to another goal.
Right, looks like she kicked it away with her foot.
A lot of times you'll have to just kind of wait to hear that thud, Justin. It's a sport where most goals go right off that bottom of the goal and you'll hear that big thud. That's the way to tell if the ball's in the goal.
Dead giveaway.
Yep.
You see it's on both sides.
Yep.
It's across the whole net, so.
Very rarely do you, most players don't have, at this level, a lot of the times they will not raise the ball up in the air, and it's obviously it's much tougher to do with the blade of the stick not being curved. You talked about it being curved upwards, but not being curved outwards, which is an easier way to get elevation on the ball. It's Braintree here with a 2-on-2 chance. Let's see if they can capitalize. Across, back post, and the chance just goes wide. As Braintree had a great chance in front of the goal off the pass from Lee, but unfortunate that they could not tap it home. That was
a great opportunity there.
That was Marston who had the chance. Number 7 in white.
So what you were saying about the lifting the ball, it's tough to do so without a curved stick, one, and also you don't want to get a illegal high hit.
Right. There's a very fine line there, and what is, a lot of the times you'll see, like, if a player swings the stick too high, that's where they'll call it. But you can still elevate the ball. It's just, you just got to kind of do it close to the ground.
There's an art to it.
It's one way to look at it. Off the free hit from Braintree, it's intercepted, and now they have a chance for some transition as Wong now carries it up the sideline. And on the Braintree defense, this will be number 3, McLaughlin.
Good defense by McLaughlin to slow down Wong.
Out in front, and Barrett's been busy here in the second quarter. He's made already, 4 or 5 stops here in the second quarter alone.
Yeah, they were doing a great job keeping it away from Barrett in the first quarter, but they're starting to get to her a little bit. Doing well under the pressure.
Much tougher for us to see the scoreboard when you have substitution standing right in front of it. But now, getting a much closer look at it in a 1-0 game.
6:40 to go here. Tough to see.
Very tough. This isn't like the scoreboard on the football field that's
little
very
tiny
well
one.
illuminated. Well, you wonder if you're on the field. I mean, you have no idea how much time's left. How can you see it?
Yeah, you got to take a quick, especially for the bench. I mean, they're behind it.
Right, and the coaches too. Here's Braintree back up the field. Looking for the chance now. Is carrying it up the field is Diuti. And Braintree will have it. So this will be Birchill, looking like she will take the free hit. Chance for Braintree to maybe tie it up.
It looks so hard when you're running full speed to slow down that ball.
Well, you saw on the Braintree centering pass, it bounced right over the Walpole stick and nearly gave Braintree that chance. It's not only is it hard to pass, but it's hard to defend too. I mean, the ball bounces. All it has to do is bounce just a tad bit, and it bounces right over your stick.
You know, balls take a weird bounce on the turf. No matter what game you're talking about.
Yeah, a lot more natural on the turf than it is on grass, but you're still going to get bad bounces no matter what. You hit like a little pocket, and it kicks in a certain direction that you're not anticipating. But
so many different elements to it. You know, you have the wet, turf can be wet, grass can be wet. That changes the whole aspect of the bounces, and
certainly speeds it up too.
Right.
So whistle. Maybe a Walpole hit here.
Near side official to us has been busy.
I assume she's the lead official. A lot of the times they'll have a head referee. We haven't heard much from the other side, but then again, we probably wouldn't be able to hear.
Yeah,
much
we wouldn't be able to hear, right?
You'd be able to hear the whistle, but not what she's saying.
I feel like the ball's been over our near side majority of the time.
Yeah, it's a funny sport. You don't see them play it in front of their own bench, which is kind of ironic. It's almost the exact opposite when you play soccer. A lot of the times, the ball is always played in front of your own bench. You see so many throw-ins in front of the bench. Braintree works it out of the defensive end, and right on cue, they move it in front of their own bench.
Their bench, notably in the shade. Walpole out to dry in the sun.
And that'll be a Braintree ball.
Not many substitutions, Mike.
No, it's I think with the change in quarters, I think a lot of the times you'll maybe see the last minute or two of the first quarter, you'll see a player come in and then they'll sub out to begin the second quarter type of thing. I think you'll see a lot more of that in-game, like, you know, after quarter substitutions, which we won't necessarily see on the field. Unless, I guess, if we want to keep track of which players on the field to begin the quarter and that ends the quarter.
I think we've only had one in-game substitution.
The shot and another strike as this one goes home. And this will be a second goal of the quarter. And it looks like that was number 17, Whalen, who got the goal. I think one of the more unique things about this sport too, Justin, is the goal scorer generally carries the ball. They'll get the ball from the goal and they'll carry it back to midfield. So that's the easiest way to identify who scored the goal.
Is that like a gamesmanship thing, or?
I think so, because I've seen every team do it. So it's definitely not just a school doing it. I think that's just the way they do it. Which, I mean, I guess if you wanted to get greedy, you could just say that you scored and just grab the ball, right? And make the officials give you another goal.
lot of interesting ins and outs to this game.
Well, nonetheless, Braintree, who dodged a couple of early bullets in the end of that first quarter, have not been able to do the same here in the second. And it's really, I mean, Barrett's played well in goal for Braintree. She's made a handful of saves, but just right now she's been on her heels, and the whole Braintree defense has been trying to play keep away pretty much this whole second quarter.
And needless to say, when they're getting shots on goals, they're bound to go in.
With the number of bodies in front too, all it has to do is, you could even hit a Braintree stick and go in. I mean, there's a lot of sticks in front of that goal. Takes a bad bounce and it goes in.
Again, just like we see in hockey and lacrosse. People try to set those screens and sometimes backfires.
That and you set up a screen in front of the goalie, and the goalie doesn't have a good view, so they get a late look at it, and then all of a sudden it goes in. You wonder how it went in, and well, the goalie didn't have a look at it.
And you see number 25 there for Walpole. That's Taylor Carter. She was in front of Barrett, and no, that was her objective there, to set the screen. What you'll see is most offensive players will stand in front of the goalie so they can't see.
Got to take a little bit of courage to do that in this sport.
Oh yeah. Look behind you, and you see the goalie all padded up, and you just got the headgear and the shin pads.
Yeah, you got a shot coming right at you.
Oh yeah. Those field hockey balls, I've held one. They're heavy.
There's no give on them either. This one is still loose. Picked up inside the semicircle now, where Braintree has to defend. And another stoppage before anything can develop here.
Under 2 minutes to go here, down to a minute and 50 about.
Well, certainly can say that Walpole was the better team in the first quarter, but Braintree held their own. This second quarter has been all Walpole for the most part.
Yeah, like we were saying, a good defensive play from both teams in the first quarter. In the second, it was all Walpole.
Oh, wow, shot from out high. And again, it looked like it was Whalen who found its way through. And there she goes again to pick up the ball.
Right on cue.
So her second goal of the game, and that really changes the complexion of this game. A 3-0 game is much different heading into halftime than a 2-0 game. You get one back, and all of a sudden the lead's cut in half. Now you're down 3.
Absolutely. And they're not used to being down 3 with the quarters. And
right.
We'll see if that changes anything.
And Braintree's had opportunities. I mean, they've had the ball with opportunities in front of the goal, but it's been that same situation of you're just not capitalizing on your chances. You're not going to get a ton of them, and when you do, you have to make them count.
Like you said earlier, some of their better opportunities in the first quarter they couldn't put home, and now trail 3-0.
Braintree's definitely had grade A chances to score. As it's worked to the middle of the field, Braintree defensively able to clear it out. Nice little stick work there off of Maggie Carey, the sophomore.
Walpole's also done a great job kind of finding the open man, finding whoever's cutting. That's what they've done a great job. As you saw on the fast breaks goal they had in the first goal of the game. That was a great job by the stick handler.
This is a sport really that if you're backing up, you're in a big disadvantage. Once you're moving the ball up the field as an offensive player, you have so many more options available. You can shoot, you can pass. And as a defender, I mean, you have no idea where on the field you are. You're trying to say, I don't want to run to my goalie. I don't want to, get out of position. But
especially in such a fast-moving sport.
So
down to 15 seconds here.
Free hit late in the second quarter now. They've scored 3 times. Walpole has here in the second quarter to take a commanding 3-0 advantage, which looks like we will go that way into halftime as the sound is getting ready from the air horn down on that side of the field. And there it is, and that's the end of the first half. So 2 quarters of play here at Braintree High School here on the side turf. It's a 3-0 advantage for Walpole. 2 goals for Whalen and 1 for Scales. And Braintree had some chances, Justin, but nothing notable on the scoreboard. Tough first half for Braintree, but they're going to have about 5 minutes or so to kind of talk it over and try and adjust a game plan for the third quarter. Any quick thoughts after the first half?
Yeah, they were doing a great job defensively, limiting the damage in the first quarter. They couldn't do the same thing in the second, and they got 30 minutes to turn it around. There's still a lot of game left to be played, and we saw that Walpole scored all 3 of their goals in the second quarter, which is leads me to think there's no reason Braintree can't do it.
So Braintree's going to hope to try and just do it one goal at a time. Can't expect 3 in one period, but we'll see what Braintree can do after a quick break here on BCAM TV again. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back for third quarter action here on BCAM TV as we stream live. We'll be back for third quarter action right after this. Welcome back to Braintree High School as we are ready to begin the second half in a 3-0 game in favor of Walpole, the visitors. Mike Wassel and Justin Turpin on hand here for BCAM TV again, streaming this game live on YouTube as well as the BCAM TV station. This is a pretty well played game to this point. Walpole obviously the more dominant team to this point, but still room for improvement for Braintree, and just try and get one back. You get one at a time. Get right back in this game, make it 3-1. Got to get the next goal, though. The next goal in this game is going to be very important. If Braintree surrenders it, I think it's going to be almost impossible to come back. But you get the next one, we got a brand new ball game, in my opinion.
Yeah, you never want to play from behind in any sport, especially in a sport like this where the clock really doesn't benefit you much. There's not really many stoppages, and trailing 3-0, you haven't really been able to capitalize on any opportunities. I think it is safe to say that Braintree will need to score this next goal.
It'll be Birchill to move it up the sideline. We'll see if maybe the change in direction will help Braintree a little bit more. That one hit a foot. That was the signal from the official as Braintree will take over.
That can't feel good either, hitting it right on the foot.
No.
That shin pad only does the shins.
Whether it hit the foot or the ankle or the top of the toe.
Hurt. Like stepping on a Lego.
I can't imagine there being much protection on the actual foot.
Oh, no.
It's just the pad of the shin guard. And I'm sure we all played soccer at some point. It doesn't give you a ton of protection. I mean, how often do you actually get hit in the shin?
Yeah. I think they're more worried about the kick.
Yeah. Or as a goalie, if they come sliding in and slide tackle you or something like that.
Yeah, those are always dangerous.
I know that on these turf fields you have to wear special shoes too. I think you have to wear like special cleats that are good for this, or maybe you have to wear sneakers. I don't know. You're not supposed to wear.
Yeah, all
certain
turf's
types
different. I definitely agree that there is better cleats for grass and for turf.
So nothing so far here in the opening minute and change of this third quarter.
And that just shows how fast the game moves. A minute and a half in already. Really, nobody's had any chances.
Well, part of the issue, like you said, is that every time the ball either goes out of bounds, the referee stops it. You got to drain at least 10 seconds to 15 seconds each time.
In most other sports, the clock stops.
So Braintree will have an opportunity here on a penalty corner, their first of the game.
Got to cash in on this.
Let's see if they can take advantage. Try and make a little set play happen. See if Braintree goes with a quick shot, or if they try and look at the back post. Looks like Birchill wants to be the recipient here of this pass. We'll see if she gets it. Number 19 in white. And it does go in her direction. Able to settle it down, takes a low shot, rebound out in front, and a diving save as that one was stopped initially.
It's a good pass.
Great pass, great shot.
Yeah. And that's one of those opportunities you got to capitalize on.
Only thing Braintree didn't do was score.
Right.
They did everything right except for score.
Like you said, you said it in the second quarter, they've had grade A opportunities, and that was another one. Just couldn't put it home.
You're not going to get a better chance than that either on a redirection.
Perfect pass. I mean, Walpole came charging out. As soon as that ball was passed, they ran right out of that net. Ooh,
that one
that got
up
her.
And hit the player. And because that one was high off the ground, it was actually a change in possession, as that one was let go by Tenney. That was a tough shot. You could see that one was being walked off by Sony, who certainly got stung pretty good by that one. Moving it up the field, a shot, and that one was kicked out. They stopped by Barrett. So Barrett's looked good in the Braintree goal.
You know, the tough thing is that goal is pretty big.
Yeah, it's a big goal.
Big
and,
goal.
I mean, you do have pads, but it's still a good size.
Like hockey, lacrosse, the goals are a lot smaller.
Right, a lot smaller. You can cover more of the goal.
Exactly. I mean, soccer, the net's big, but you're not padded. The pad's definitely going to slow you down.
This is also a sport where you can't really get out of the goal either. You move so much slower with these pads.
Right.
Like you see in hockey, you see the goalie come out and play the puck, but in this sport, you don't see that very often. They do have big, as they call them, big pillows. That's what they call the pads. You can use them to your advantage and just kind of kick the ball,
right.
Try and kick it up to your attackers, but it's tough to do that.
And they stand upright.
Right.
It's not like in hockey or lacrosse, you kind of get down.
Yeah,
they are upright.
Yeah. You did see the Walpole goalie on the last Braintree shot actually go to the ground and actually kind of stack the pads, which makes it even tougher to score.
But you use the pads to your advantage.
So the ball will be in Walpole's favor, as that one was moved up the field by Jacobs. And Braintree able to intercept with the play of Burchill, who wasn't able to backhand it forward. And now it's worked down the near sideline. Good play along the perimeter, as that was Birch who made the play for Walpole. We've seen a couple of new faces for Walpole, maybe. As this game goes on, maybe they'll change up their players with a 3-0 advantage.
Defensive heavy team. Go to your best defenders. Hold on to that lead.
Nice break up there by Braintree. That was strong stick work by Braintree's number 15, Kathleen Lee, the sophomore.
Same goes for Braintree here. If their offense doesn't get going, they might have to switch to more an offensive heavy front.
That was a great defensive play. That broke up what would have been an excellent chance for Braintree. As Riley broke that one up on defense, it looked like Braintree was going to have a chance there up the field on the stick of Ella Woods. We haven't really called her name much.
Quick whistle there.
Are they going to hit the ball again? I think actually Walpole is going to take over now. Braintree did something illegal on the hit. I believe it went in the air before you were supposed to. I think the ball has to go on the ground when you have a free hit. I don't think it can go in the air.
Clock at about 9 minutes here, so clock's ticking for the Womps.
Even with the LASIK eye surgery, still very tough with the sun to see that clock.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No.
Tiny clock.
I'm going to let your young eyes do the sightseeing over there.
The sun shining right over it.
Much easier to call what's going on than to look at that scoreboard. So stoppage. This would be a penalty corner, I believe. Yep. Walpole will have another chance. They have not scored here in this third quarter, but they did all their scoring in the second. It's a 3-0 advantage.
Approaching the midway point here in this third quarter.
Sent out high. It's Whalen who has 2 of their 3 goals, trying to get the hat trick. And Braintree was very good defensively, and that took courage because it looked like she wound up for a wicked wrister, as they say.
Taking one of those, again, must not feel good.
Didn't look like she got all of the shot either, which was fortunate for Braintree.
Good box out there.
There's Whalen again, as Braintree digging away at it defensively. Woods trying to get in there to knock it away. Out in front, and it caroms home. A 4th goal, as that one was sent home by Carter. Taylor Carter getting the goal, their 4th of the game. And I talked about the 4th goal in this game being so important. Braintree really needed to get that next one.
And we see Braintree making a substitution here, and like we said, could be going to more of an offensive scoring team. It is a tough save for Barrett, though. You know, you're on the left side of the goal. they shoot to the right. And you got to jump all the way over there in those pads. It's not easy. Bigger net, like we said, that's a tough play.
You always can critique things from a distance. It's a lot harder than when you're actually out there, but from a distance, I mean, she's doing all the fundamental things. None of the goals that she's allowed, in my opinion, have been soft. They talk about know, allowing soft goals. These are all well-positioned shots. They're deflected. They're very tough to stop. If it wasn't for her play, I mean, this could be a 7-8-0 game easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not like we're speaking negatively in the fashion of what's been going on here in this game. It's just more about, unfortunately for Braintree, they just haven't been able to find their offense in this game. They've been playing defense almost the entire game, and when they've had chances, unfortunate, they haven't been able to find that back of the net.
And like we said, when Walpole spends so much time in the Braintree zone, they're bound to get good shots, and the shots are bound to go in.
This is a very good program, so you're not really that surprised when you see them score. It's just a matter of, can Braintree hang around? And they did hang around after a quarter. I mean, they were right there,
Yeah,
so,
not every individual program gets their own nickname, so.
No.
It's got to mean something, right?
I'm sure that's a nickname that has come a long way. This one out in front. And the shot goes off the outside of the net, it looked like.
I think that might have been tipped by Barrett.
It must not have been tipped because Braintree has possession, so she must have got a look at it. Maybe it was already out of bounds when she hit it. I don't know. Definitely changed direction, that's for sure.
Yeah, it had to hit something. Unless a nice gust of wind came through.
Even with the temperatures in the 70s today, it's warm in the sun. Warm day.
Right. And those, the turf layered with those black pellets.
Yep.
Can't help.
Almost seems like it just gives off more heat, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Used to be a rumor that it was like recycled tires. That's what they used to tell us. I don't know how true that is.
I'm gonna have to do some research to find that one out, or maybe some investigation. Go down there with some toolkit or something and pick away at some of the pieces and bring it back to the lab. And
well, we got plenty of chemistry rooms and stuff inside the high school. I'm sure we can figure it out.
I'm sure that would be their favorite plan for us, right? They'd love us to come in there. Yeah. Haven't used anything in that lab since back in 2008. I graduated. It's been a long time since I've been inside Braintree High School.
They barely trusted me when I was a student there with the labs. I don't think they would do it now.
Everybody's favorite, using those Bunsen burners. That was always, always everybody's fun thing. Anytime you can play with fire, I guess, right?
Oh, awesome. That was the most exciting. Fire in a classroom, I mean, that's awesome.
When it's controlled, right?
Yes. I don't know about an uncontrolled one. That wouldn't be great.
No. This one worked up the field. Oh, nice catch there from Lee, but
offsides?
I guess so. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Seemed like she had nothing but green grass in front of her. Play was blown dead. It had to be an offside.
She made a great catch of that pass, though.
Right.
That was a tough ball for her to really control, and she was able to do so in stride. But like you said, must have been offside, apparently.
Had some heat on it.
This one bounces past the Braintree defense, all the way back in the Braintree end. And that's number 25 for Braintree defending. That is Mia Seafail.
Walpole takes over on the Braintree penalty.
Must be nearing the end of this third quarter.
Down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds here, and we see some substitutions, like we said. Haven't seen that a lot, but see them standing in front of the clock.
Here comes Lee looking to get Braintree's first goal, send it towards the net, and it's kicked out.
A tiny ball, that must be tough, to run up and kick it. You're afraid of missing the ball.
With a purpose, too, not just kicking it, to try and kick it to your defender as well. Make a nice play out of your own end.
Another opportunity for the Womps here.
Here comes Woods. As Woods sends it across, nice pass. The shot goes just wide, and Joyce had the chance in front, maybe about 6 feet out. Could not send it home. That's been the story here today for Braintree. It's just been a couple of shots that have gone just wide. I mean, they haven't missed by much.
No.
Maybe a couple of couple of inches wide, and they go the other way. Braintree's right in this game, down maybe 4-2 or something like that.
And that's most sports, game of inches, most of them, and that's been the story for Braintree. Haven't been able to cash in on their opportunities, and
so a chance here for another strike as the pass is going to hit a foot. So nearing the end of this quarter, Braintree looks to make some substitutions.
Nearing the 2-minute mark here.
In a 4-0 game, 3 goals in the second quarter for Walpole, 1 so far here in the third quarter. That's all the scoring here today. This is not a very high-scoring sport generally, unless you're a team that just completely dominates the other team. Then you could see some high-scoring games, some lopsided scores, but generally when you have two teams very evenly matched, a lot of the games are like 1-0, 2-1, something like that, a 1-goal game generally.
Walpole's done a great job using their speed to their advantage.
Here's a chance late. Braintree kicks it away. Barrett with another stop, and at the side of the goal, it goes out of bounds, where Braintree will take back over. That was Rhea Vader.
Good kick save by Barrett there. Down to 1 minute and 15 seconds here.
Maybe an opportunity for 1 or 2 more chances in this third quarter. Hopefully on the Braintree side, because they need one.
Now, do the substitutions have to wait for a clock stoppage? Because it doesn't happen much.
I think as long as the player is past the halfway mark, I think you can come off for certain players. You can't just jump on and give your team an advantage.
Yes.
Just like soccer, you have to have the player come all the way across to the boundary.
So like soccer, hockey, and cross.
Hockey's a little bit different, where all those changes come on the fly, and a lot of the times it's a whole sail of changes. You'll see a whole line come off.
I'd be terrified to jump the boards. No way I land upright.
Especially with the skates on.
Oh, no way. I can't even skate, so good thing I don't got to worry about it.
I never learned how to skate either as a kid, which I guess now looking back on, it's something I wouldn't have minded doing, but it was never a sport that I was into for whatever reason. Hockey was just never, I like it now, but I just never as a kid. I liked soccer, basketball, baseball,
Skating's just something good to know too. It's like as we get to 5 seconds here, they might just let this run out. It might be an untimed play, but I did like the skating at Gillette Stadium, and I was just holding the boards the whole time, and I just felt like such a everyone looking at me laughing. I'm like, whatever, it happens.
Well, good story to end the third quarter there, Justin, but not what Braintree had in mind. They're down 4-0 after 3 quarters of play. They get one more, does Walpole in the third quarter. The goal off of the stick of Carter makes it 4-0, and Braintree in some trouble here after 3 quarters of play at Braintree High School, and we'll be back for a quick break and then the start of the fourth quarter here on BCAM TV.
Oh, hey, bud.
Oh.
Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
It's a school night. With Gary and Todd?
Yeah?
Not sure about those two. I've been meaning to ask you. This is tougher than I thought. Is there any drinking going on in this crowd?
No.
I hope not, because alcohol can lead you to say things and do things that you really wish you hadn't. Isn't this what you're supposed to say?
I know.
So if any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't. I'd do anything to keep you safe.
Okay, I will.
I hope this is working.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you.
Ryan.
Yeah?
So start the conversation even before they're teenagers.
Good idea.
For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Welcome back here for the start of the fourth quarter here on BCAM TV, again streaming live on YouTube and on the BCAM TV station, number 9 and number 28 on Comcast and Verizon. Mike Wassel and Justin Turpin on hand as we are ready for the fourth and final quarter, and Braintree finds themselves down 4-0 after 45 minutes of play. So Walpole starting with the ball here to begin the fourth quarter, and Braintree trying to make some changes and try and get one here. Try and get one early in this fourth quarter and make this one a little closer. Still time left, but time is not on Braintree's side right now.
We talked about how important that fourth goal was, and could prove to be the difference maker if Braintree can have a big quarter here.
Get a couple back, you say, oh wow, that fourth goal was big, but I mean really, you never want to find yourself down by more than 2 goals. It's very tough to respond to that. One goal, of course, it can go either way, it can teeter back and forth, but you get down 3, 4, 5 goals, I mean, that, and most sports, I mean, especially in soccer, I mean, you're talking about put away type of status there when you get down that big.
Even more so than the fourth goal was the second quarter.
Right.
I mean, 3 goals in the second quarter. You coming into the second quarter, great defensive play from both teams. You're looking at a 0-0 game, and then going to halftime trailing 3-0. It's not a good thing.
Ooh, a dangerous pass there. Walpole sent it right out in front of their own goal. I don't know if that was anticipated, but Braintree sending it right back in. As Tenney's shot was blocked in front, now sent to the perimeter. We'll have a Braintree hit.
Already a minute and a half gone in this one.
Braintree will keep the ball. Need something early in this fourth quarter to have a little glimmer of hope. Here's Tenney. They've had a good chance to take the shot. Could not get it off, though. And the strong Walpole defense continues as they send a body up the field. They're trying to get it ahead to number 8, Folan, who is up ahead of the pack.
Even numbers here.
There's the pass, and it's deflected out of bounds. It's going to be a penalty corner.
Another one for Walpole.
Yeah, they've got a lot of them in this game.
And that's another thing Braintree's done a great job with, is killing the penalties.
Right.
They haven't capitalized on the penalty corners once, and
this is not an easy situation because a lot of the times right now the ball is in their best player's hands.
Right.
And the shot kicked away by Barrett. Second chance is still loose, and now it's kicked wide. So again, Barrett's play has been superb. I mean, think about it, she's been Braintree's best player on the field in this game.
Yeah.
Without her, I mean, this is a very lopsided game. I mean, 4-0. Yeah, you might think if you look at the box score after the game, you say, oh, Braintree lost 4-0. That must not have been a close game. Well, with her play, I mean, she's kept Braintree within striking distance.
Yeah, on the eye test, it's definitely her the best player.
I mean, they've had some quality plays, some breakout plays, but right now we just need Braintree to string together a couple of good passes and then get a good shot off. Hope to get a good bounce. This is a Braintree team that can score, but they just haven't been able to get on the scoreboard in this game.
And the story is simple for Braintree. I mean, just that second quarter and the lack of capitalizing on the opportunities. It's that simple for Braintree. Other than that, it's been a pretty good game for the Womps.
So right around midfield, it'll be Birchill, who could not hit it forward. Now she does.
Braintree's got numbers here now.
Leaves it up ahead for number 17, Gabby Dayuti. Now the Womps keep the pressure on. They're looking for one here.
They need it. And just like that, Walpole takes it on the run here.
Well, it's a game where you have to really keep that stick down level, and sometimes the ball just bounces, takes a bad bounce, jumps over your stick, and very quickly the other team's going back the other way with an odd man rush. Strong defense on the far side by Braintree to slow down the rush. That start was way too fast. And it's going to give Braintree the ball back. You can't do that.
Nearing the 10-minute mark here.
I see what you're trying to do there if you're Walpole, but that's not going to work with the referee. You have to drop the ball, let it stop before you hit it. You can't let it roll.
Walpole still playing fast.
Well, they got a good team. I mean, it's not like they're going to, I'm sure everybody on the bench can play too. I mean, you think about most teams, maybe their bench players would start for most other teams.
Right.
Sometimes that's just the way it goes, right? I mean, every sport has some really strong players on certain teams. Unfortunately, they're playing behind somebody that just has the lock on that starting position.
And that's what happens. You have a bunch of players in the same class that are all equally talented.
A lot of the times you give advantage to the upperclassmen too.
Right. And somebody's bound to get the short end of the stick with that.
But at some point, the senior graduates, and then, the underclassmen get a chance to step into that role, and hey, they might thrive in it. So it's definitely a good learning experience.
It's almost like a mentorship.
Right. Although you never know at this level.
No.
The animosity might be kind of high, depending on the situation, right?
Oh, definitely.
High school kids definitely let a lot of stuff get to them.
Now, something to think about, and obviously you've done a lot more field hockey than I have. If you're Walpole here, do you almost think about taking penalties? Clock keeps running.
Yeah, I don't think they will. That's an interesting take, but I don't think that, Walpole's a program that prides himself on playing the right way, so I don't think they would go in that direction, but I see what you're saying. I think what they would potentially do is just, once they get the ball from their own end, just kind of hit the ball up the field as far as they can, just to keep the ball far away from their goal.
Play some cat and mouse, just pass the
much.
ball around.
Yeah. Try and play keep away, and then, just burn the clock that way. Anything that goes out of bounds is going to burn valuable time as well, so.
It's like nothing like serious penalties, like, a quick start or something.
Yeah, right.
Like, just hit it quick. That gives you another 20 seconds off the clock, because we're already at 8.5 gone here, and still no points for Braintree. Or 8.5 to go, rather.
I think they're just content right now just to keep playing the way they're playing, get some subs in there, like you said, give a chance for some of their reserves to get a chance to play.
As I'm getting another substitution here. See number 5 over by the scorer's table.
As you saw, she just went right onto the field, so it's just you got to come into the game at the right time. Doesn't necessarily have to be at a stoppage, but.
And that's a sophomore, Allison Curran, getting ready to come in.
Well, other than dealing with the sun, it's been a pretty enjoyable game.
Yeah, great weather.
Great weather.
If we were a little bit close to the turf, I bet it'd be a lot hotter.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
We're on the bleachers here. We got nice.
You could pretty much breathe that turf, though, Justin. You're pretty close to that.
Yeah, I am pretty close to it. But I got the wind, nice sunset lake breeze, beautiful Braintree High School. Not a worry in the world here.
Until you get to a night baseball game and the wind kicks in and all of a sudden it comes down 15 degrees.
Yeah, or a November football practice.
That's true. Or it starts to snow, right?
Yep. Which is
a lot of weather factors that you don't think about when you play.
Yeah.
When you play a lot of sports, it's like, hey, it's great when you play in perfect conditions, but once the other elements kick in, who wants to play a game in the rain? Who wants to play in the snow? This one will be kicked well high.
And the weather affects sports in so many different ways.
Yes.
Like we talked about earlier with the bounces, but even, in football or in baseball you can't even play in the rain.
Baseball, you can't play in the rain. And
football, you can't really throw the ball in the rain.
No, it's a lot more running. It's
a lot of fumbles.
Even in the snow. You talk about ball security.
Yeah.
Whole different strategy as a coach you got to think about.
And then even if you are playing a little bit in the, you play through a little drizzle in baseball. Ball takes a couple of bad bounces. Pitcher can't get the same grip. The ball's wet, his hand's wet. And
yep. Bad things happen when there's weather involved.
Oh yeah. Even natural elements, like I've even heard pitchers complain about sweat.
Yep. When it's too hot.
Yep.
So it has to be a perfect temperature in order to play a sport in an ideal condition.
And everyone's got their preferred conditions.
Shot, and this one is kicked out as Braintree had an opportunity to try and get one.
Keep going back to those opportunities, and that was just another one.
There's definitely a lot to like from this game if you're Braintree. They've kept in it. You're only down 4-0. This is a really good team.
Right.
And it's not like Walpole's back down either. They've continued to play like they normally would. Maybe they've had a few substitutions, but they're still playing the same game plan. They're not running the clock.
And obviously you can't do it, but you take away that second quarter, it's a 1-0 game.
Right.
And that's one quarter that really kills you.
But I think that's what Braintree they'll talk about after this game. That's the next time they play Walpole, they'll say we've got to eliminate that big quarter. If we give up a goal, give up 2 goals, fine. But right. you can't afford to give up 3 or 4 in a quarter. It's just too tough of a hill to overcome.
And like we said, right when we got in on the intro, this is a young Braintree team. You know, games like this, you know, there's a lot of good to take away from. I know the score says 4-0 and it'll go in the loss category, but there's a lot of good to take away from this, and you're getting in some of your reserves, like you alluded to earlier, and, you know, the opportunities were there. You know, it was all stuff they couldn't control, you know, whether it was a weird bounce, whatever it was. I mean, overall, a good game.
Weird bounces, and you got to obviously be very impressed by their play of their goalie, as Barrett was superb in this game. As look at her, she's even shading her eyes there from the sun.
And that can't be easy.
I think the only positive is that the ball is a different color than the turf. It makes it a little easier to see. And sometimes at nighttime, they'll even get the fluorescent, they'll get the yellow ball out.
Yeah.
You need like a glow-in-the-dark ball at nighttime.
Yeah. And you know, the side turf doesn't have lights. They got the lights on the side of the building, but it's not for the turf in general.
They don't have built-in lights. I think they're portable lights, I believe, the ones that they have here for this.
They use them for flag football, too.
Yes. I can't imagine those are very easy to move either. I can't imagine. They probably need some sort of a device to move that. I'm sure it's pretty heavy.
I'm sure that's something for BEMA to take care of. Braintree Emergency and Lighting Department.
This is one to move over midfield by Burchill. As we're nearing the end of this game, Braintree still down on the scoreboard 4-0. You talked about the big second quarter with the 3 goals. That's the difference in this game. I mean, you can't eliminate it, but you can say, okay, well, how did Braintree play in 4 quarters? Well, they played well in the first quarter. They played well in the third quarter. Second quarter was the falling apart.
Very early in the season still. You know, again, you cannot be mad if you're Coach Scully. I mean, yeah, you're leaving here with a loss. You're going into the next game with another loss, but there's a lot of good to take away from this one. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. The play by Barrett has been amazing. I mean, the defense was great. So, you know, take away that second quarter. And I mean, the one really negative for Braintree is, you know, Walpole spent a lot of time in the Braintree zone, and that's not what you want. You don't want the ball in front of your net ever in any sport. You want to be in your opponent's zone, and it's something Braintree couldn't do today, and not that it necessarily hurt them. I mean, like we said, you know, Walpole was taking advantage of the numbers game, and they were taking advantage of opportunities, something Braintree wasn't doing, and come back to haunt them.
Well, you hope that Braintree learns from that, which I assume they will.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good learning experience. I mean, sometimes you got to be humbled sometimes you're just outplayed by a better team, and that's what's happened here today.
Another thing, it's all correctable.
So Braintree looking to make something happen here in the final couple minutes, try and get one, but right now they're defending at midfield, down along the far side where it goes out of bounds.
Would be nice to get 1 goal up there so it's not shut out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, break the shutout.
That definitely helps out with the confidence. Right. Just put one on there.
You just get one and you say, oh, well, next time we play them, we can definitely score. You know, the next time these two teams meet, Braintree's going to have more confidence saying, hey, this is what we got to do, and hopefully maybe they use some tape, maybe they use some footage from this and say, okay, what can we do better next time?
And again, with the young team, I mean, still early. They haven't seen Walpole. I mean, this year, this is the first time they've seen Walpole. When they see him again, they're going to be better prepared. They're going to be more gelled together. Again, we talked about it earlier again, chemistry and how important that is in sports. And, you know, with the young team, you know, chemistry's not necessarily there. And not to say that was evident today, but, I mean, you could clearly tell that Walpole is more on the same page.
Right, yeah, it's like I told you, they have that feeder program. You get the players that have been playing the sport for a long time. And it's starting to become a thing now in Braintree. I mean, that's a good sight. I mean, to see field hockey becoming more of the norm, you know what I mean?
Right.
When you think about high school sports, most people don't characterize field hockey in that. You know, I always talk about the Big Four. I mean, everybody knows what the Big Four are, but, you know, some of these sports now are becoming big things.
Yeah, and again, you talked about the feeder program. That's important with any high school sport. I mean, you come up, I mean, field hockey especially, I mean, this might be something people just pick up at high school. If you have a feeder program that these students can play in, they get to the high school level and they're ready to go. It's not like you're starting from scratch. It's not field hockey 101.
So Braintree moving it up over midfield. It'll be Woods, who's had a pretty good fourth quarter. She had a good pass that nearly resulted in a Braintree goal, but this game is nearing the end, and Braintree really hoping to get that 1 goal, like you said, just hoping for a little positive movement as we're under a minute now.
Under 20 seconds here.
Shot taken and a save.
Another opportunity there.
Rebounds as Dayuti let it go, and another stoppage
That air horn's about to sound here.
Yeah, it's going to be Braintree's possession until the. Are they going to let? Oh yeah, they're going to allow Braintree that one more. We saw this in the first quarter.
Now this would be a great time to put it home.
The ref and the coaches are talking. I mean, I guess are they just going to end the game, knowing that Braintree, no matter, even if they score, can't change the outcome? I guess that's what's going to happen.
Now, do they still just wave, or do they line up?
I think they just
shake
wave.
hands?
I'm a little surprised. I thought we were going to see Braintree get an opportunity there and force Walpole to have to clear it out, kind of like what we saw at the end of that first quarter, if you remember.
Untimed, yeah.
Well, I'm guessing, I mean, we'll wait and see a little bit, Justin, as we kind of wrap things up, just to make sure that we don't miss anything else. But it looks like that's going to be the final play of this game, and unless one of the sides took a timeout, which I don't see happening.
Yeah. And like you said, Braintree looked content. And then around the 6-minute mark, they looked content at where this game was, what they had to take away from it. They don't really care about the point. I mean, maybe that's a little something that you and I have been watching sports, and not getting shut out definitely adds to it. But Braintree seems content, and they have no reason to not be. I mean, a lot of good things happen.
Well, a lot of good things to take from this game for Braintree, especially the play in goal. I mean, that was definitely one of their biggest, strongest points. Thinking about Barrett, her play was superb. I mean, you got some good play at the front from Lee and from Burchill. You got some good defensive plays, which we had alluded to earlier. But next game for Braintree, they're going to have to try and find a way to finish their opportunities, and maybe they'll get a chance against a lesser opponent, the team that doesn't necessarily have the same firepower, and maybe they'll be able to put a handful of goals in and kind of get some confidence going and get some goals in that department.
And again, all correctable stuff. All of it's correctable, and even some that you can't even handle, like the bad bounces and all that stuff. I mean, a lot of positives, and that's what Braintree's going to be feeling. I mean, like you said, they look content, and that's what you have to think is going through Coach Scully's head right now, is that there's a lot that we can take away from this. This is a top-tier team that we just played, and we played them well other than that second quarter.
Very well said, Justin. We'll recap the scoring real quick before we end the coverage. It was Whalen with 2 goals, Scales with 1, and Carter with 1 for Walpole. All the goals scored by Walpole, 3 in the second quarter, 1 in the third, nothing in the first and fourth, and the final score, a 4-0 finish in favor of Walpole. So our coverage has concluded. Thanks for watching here our live stream broadcast. On behalf of our camera person here today, Jerry Comic, my partner Justin Turpin, I'm Mike Wassel. We'll see you next time.